Hi, this is Vedat from Socialnova. Welcome back to our series Socialnova Solutions, where we discuss pressing problems about your marketing. Today in Socialnova Solutions, we are going to talk about a big dilemma which all startup founders face. That is, how much you should spend on your marketing and how you should plan your marketing budget itself. As a startup founder, you are probably going to have limited resources for your marketing, so it won't be an understatement to say that your ability to decide and execute your marketing budget may literally be the difference between the success and failure of your startup. In this video, we are going to understand what a marketing budget itself is, how much you should spend on your startup marketing, and which are the 5 big areas in which you should invest in. So let's get started. So first of all, let's understand what a marketing budget actually is. To define it, a marketing budget is literally the sum total of all the costs you have to incur to execute the marketing for your company. This does not only include the direct advertising costs like on Facebook or Google ads, but also the salaries of the people you have to hire, the software cost and the subscriptions of all the tools you have to use, and even the stationery and office setup you have to allot for this. So my point is, your marketing budget is the sum total of every single penny you have to spend for your company's marketing, 100% all included. So now the next big thing is, how much do startups usually spend on their marketing? Well, it really depends on the industry and the stage at which a startup is. But to give you a ballpark idea, most new startups in their first year of business spend around 20% of their capital and or revenue on their marketing. More established startups in the second or third year of their business usually spend around 10 to 15% of their revenue on their marketing. And as a long-term rule, most successful startups spend around 5 to 8% of their revenue on their marketing. So now the big question is, how much should you as a new startup founder or a small business owner should spend on your marketing? Well, after working with hundreds of startups, my recommendation is you should follow the 5% thumb rule. You should spend at least 5% of your revenue on your short-term, medium-term and long-term goals each. So for example, if you have certain goals to achieve within the first 12 months of your business, you should allocate 5% of your revenue for that. For your goals which can be achieved in the next 3 to 5 years, you should allocate 5% for that. And for your long-term goals which can be achieved in the 10 to 15 year period, you should allot 5% of your revenue for that. So in a nutshell, you should be prepared to spend at least 15% of your revenue as a new startup on your marketing for the first 10 years of your business. So now let's talk about how you can decide your ideal marketing budget for the first 3 years of your business. Here are my 5 considerations which can help you set a tentative amount that will help you decide your marketing budget. The first and the most obvious consideration is to look at your peers. You can talk to your consultants, your industry experts, or simply look at the finances of your competition to understand how much they are spending on their marketing. You don't have to exactly copy what they are doing, but their data will help you analyze and decide how much you should spend on your marketing to actually compete with them. Second, you also have to consider the external factors affecting your business and industry. For example, we are in the middle of a pandemic right now. So naturally, you need to spend more on your marketing during such periods than on usual years. As per a recent study, due to this pandemic, most companies had to up their marketing budget by certain percentages to keep up with all the changes that are happening. So by considering the external factors, you can come up with a more accurate number on how much you need to spend on your marketing. If you feel looking at the competition or the external factors is not giving you the right data, then you can turn to the good old method of finding out the expenses yourself. You can talk to HR agencies about the cost of the type of people you need to hire. You can look at the subscription costs of the software you need to use and get a general idea of how much you need to spend on networks like Facebook and Google. If you do your math right, you can still get a pretty good idea on how much you need to spend on your marketing. Fourth, you also have to understand how to set goals and create a system to track your ROI properly. Most companies do this mistake of just making sure that they know what they want to do when it comes to marketing, but have no idea whether it's working or not if we ask them after a few months how it's going. So just make sure that you set your marketing goals properly and create a system to actually track how it's going after a month, after a quarter, and even after a year. The fifth and the final consideration is to reconcile your marketing budget regularly. Your marketing budget number should not be a number set in stone. It should be a living number that is adjusted regularly depending on the situation. My recommendation is that you should at least review your marketing budget at the start and the end of every month and reconcile it against your short-term, medium-term and long-term goals. I know this list isn't exhaustive, but I hope at least this serves as a good starting point for you to start calculating your ideal marketing budget. Now the next big thing is, once you have decided how much money you want to spend on marketing, you need to decide which channels you will invest that money in. From my experience, I believe there are 5 big marketing channels every startup needs to invest in, and here are those. The first and probably the most critical element of your marketing is your website. Your website is literally the central part of all your digital marketing and the first impression you create on your customer. If it isn't good, then nothing else will work. There are different ways to create your website. You can literally build it yourself using website builders like Wix or GoDaddy, or you can invest in a good agency like Trigacy to build a world-class website for you. I recommend that you keep aside at least $1,000 to $2,000 of budget to create a world-class website to supplement your marketing. The second biggest element of your marketing budget is going to be pay-per-click advertising. As a startup, naturally, you won't start with a huge brand awareness. Not many people are going to know your name, so you need to use advertising to get in front of right people. Social media networks like Facebook and Instagram and search networks like Google are excellent destinations to promote your startup. I recommend having at least $500 of budget to promote your company on these platforms. Third, it's search engine optimization. It's no secret, search engines like Google and Bing are a big part of our lives now. Millions of people use these networks to search for all the products and services they require. People trust search results more than advertisements, and ultimately you need to focus on getting your brand on the first page of Google to get the attention of right searchers. SEO is a long-term job, so I recommend you having a budget of at least $200 to $300 for a period of 1 to 2 years to make SEO work for your company. Fourth, social media. I think I don't even need to tell you how important social media is for your company. Social media is the biggest community on the internet, and no matter what your industry, your brand needs to be a part of social media to make your marketing work. Organic social media marketing is different from direct advertising. It's more about content creation and management. Having a full-time social media manager is an expensive affair, so I recommend that you should rather go with affordable agencies like Socialnova, whose plans start with just $99 a month. But I recommend that you at least have a budget of $200 to $300 for your organic social media marketing. Finally, content marketing. I personally differentiate content marketing as a separate channel which focuses on creating blogs, videos, podcasts, white papers, ebooks, and any other type of content which can be used as a part of your inbound marketing strategy to attract the right audiences. The type and the amount of content you need to create will differ on a case-to-case basis, but ultimately I recommend that you have at least a budget of $300 to $400 for your content marketing. So to sum up, using my calculations, I'll say you need to have a budget of $1,200 to $1,500 a month for at least a period of 1 year to go aggressive with your marketing. But does this mean a lower budget cannot work? Obviously not. It can certainly work depending on your requirement and your industry. The goal of this video is not to give you an exact number you need to work with, but rather to help you understand how you can calculate the right marketing budget for your own company yourself. To conclude, I can confidently say that identifying and setting your ideal marketing budget is not rocket science. You just understood what an actual marketing budget is, how much companies usually spend on marketing, how you can set your own marketing budget, and which are the big marketing areas you need to invest in. I hope this information proves useful and helps you in formulating your marketing strategy and ultimately making it successful. If you found this video useful, please let us know in the comments below. If you have any suggestions about our videos and services, they are welcome in the comments as well. This is Vedant, and until the next time of Social Solutions, stay social. I'll see you soon. Cheers.